I don't think he can. So, breaking news update for all of you who are just joining us. India have been crowned the SAFF Championship champions for a 9th time. And what a final it was, really, in so many ways.
A record 9th time, by the way. India were the defending champions as well. And what they've managed to do in Bengaluru is defend their crown successfully. In the center of it all was obviously the Indian captain stood up to take the first penalty. Something surprising though.
He did it in the last match too, man.
He did it in the last match too. So yeah, a new trend of sorts emerging, and right now as we speak, the lap of honor is on in Bengaluru, and one can say that perhaps, yes, of course, you know, at the start of the tournament there was a lot of talk about the Indian team being superior, let's say, on the FIFA rankings, and the other teams in contention weren't as good, let's say, as the rankings are concerned. But then there was just part of the talk, you know, when you come into the tournament, it's all down to business, it's all down to good football, and that's what the Indian team has played over the last week or so. A good journey, let's say, and a good couple of weeks, I must say, because you won the Intercontinental Cup just about a couple of weeks back, and there was quick turnaround, you know, from Odisha, you to come down to Bangalore for the tournament, and now everything, all plans being put to foot, and just the kind of result that India would have wanted. Nikhil Nas joining us at the moment with a big smile on the face, which I can only think of right now because I can't see him.
Why can't you see me? Don't you have a big screen? Can you not cut me in the big
We're working on getting it on the big screen, yes.
Anyhow.
No, but I do, you're right, your guess is right. I do have a big smile on my face because, firstly, I hope everyone who's joining us was watching the match, because, you know, it is truly a special moment for Indian football, and I tell you why. I know. What is it? It's the 9th time, or how many?
Yes,
ninth.
9th
time we won the SAFF Championship. Many will say, what is the big deal? It's SAFF, okay? South Asian Football Federation Championship. So nothing, you know, in that sense, nothing great. You know, SAFF is a group of nations in Southeast Asia. So them, you know, winning or becoming champions there, what's the great deal? But I'd like to tell everyone. So firstly, I hope everyone who's joining us live did get a chance to watch it. In case you guys did not, do please check out the highlights, and I'll tell you why it was special. It was special because you just did not have your regular SAFF teams. You know, SAFF Championship, India always dominated because it was Sri Lanka, it was Bhutan, it was Pakistan, Nepal, it was Bangladesh, it was, you know, so those countries would, Nepal, these are the countries that would participate, not really a collection of countries that are outstanding in football, so India would mostly triumph. This time you had Lebanon, you had Kuwait, okay, two real strong teams in the Asian setup, and to have beaten one in the semi-final, beaten the other in the final. And Lebanon, remember, from that Intercontinental Championship, you've had the wood over them, you're doing well. These are countries traditionally being better footballing nations than you. And when I say traditionally, I'm not going back to the 50s or, you know, 60s or even before that, where India used to be a footballing paras. I'm looking at the last 2-3 decades or so, where these countries were much stronger than India. For India to have beaten them now consistently, Lebanon being that example, and also Kuwait, by the way, that league game that India played against Kuwait, that self-goal at the end was a bit of a heartbreak. Had Indian team stayed cool on that game, they would have beaten Kuwait twice in a tournament, and that would have been incredible. So overall, it's a very special win because you've beaten these two teams. And I'm not just looking at, you know, apart from the fact that you've beaten these two teams, it's special, but also with the way the Indian football team is playing. You know, having watched Indian football for more than 2 decades now very closely, I thought that, you know, maybe 90s, the team was good, and then you had a dip in Indian football, and I thought, you know, you were really not progressing, really not moving anywhere. Even in the 90s, we were a bit romantic, getting happy with Baichung Bhutia and I am Vijayan and Joe Paul Ancheri and so on. But truth be told, our football and at the international level, we still felt like amateurs. For once now, I am beginning to see a well-organized unit. I'm not even looking at results. Forget wins and losses. As soon as you start playing a bit of possession football, you have your wingers overlapping and all of that being going into your planning, your finishing being good, your moves really coming off. Moves as in, one touch passing, quick 1-2 triangles, those basic things that you would see with better teams. India would barely do it. India would always play counter-attacking football, defend, and hope that, one counter-attack they would score against the run of play. That was a sign of a team that was not really at the top level, gradually maturing. But this Indian football team, whatever I've seen in the last few months, and I know a lot of flack has come Steamark's way because of his misdemeanors on the side and the cards that he got. And I agree that he should have been banned for 2 matches. Silly mistakes that he's been making 2 matches in a row. All of that is fine. But I think what he's really done is got this team to play a bit more organized football. We can get to various other factors, and maybe we'll discuss the final closely because it was really an exciting game. But overall, a big day in Indian football. Really happy that they won. And now I can say that, at one point, India were the tier 4 in Asia. I wouldn't be wrong to say that they're inching towards tier 2 in Asia. Tier 1 is a different level, the Japans, the Korean teams, that is the tier 1 level. But if you're inching closer to tier 2 is where you'd have, teams like Kuwait. By the way, don't be fooled by Kuwait's ranking of 140. It's just because they were suspended for a long time. Correct. They are there. But truth be told, I think traditionally, they are a world number 70 sort of team. They have been for a long time. So that's the kind of team they are. And you've beaten them. So really, really happy, not just with the result, not just with the championship, but whatever I've seen of Indian football over Intercontinental and now in SAFF, the way the team is playing together, well organized, really happy.
Yeah, and I think you were talking about looking at the long term, what this result does. Again, India have always dominated SAFF championships. It's just been their thing. But why this result is so important is because it ensures that come the next set of rankings that will be published by FIFA, they'll retain that 100th spot. Now, why is that 100th spot important? It's because when you're looking at FIFA rankings for Asian nations, it means that India are the 18th highest ranked nation in Asia, which is very good because for the next round of qualifiers for the AFC Asian Cup as well as the FIFA World Cup. And you'd remember that the Asian Cup and FIFA World Cup qualifiers are together, like it's one and the same process. If you don't make it to the World Cup, you can still qualify for the Asian Cup, which is what in fact happened with India. But what this does, because they're ranked 18th, it actually will put them in a better pot come the next round of qualifiers. Now, previously what had happened, even in the last round of qualifiers, India were in pot 3. Now, because they were in pot 3, they were getting the really strong sides. In fact, that pot, if my memory serves me right, had both Oman and Qatar. Qatar at that point were the reigning Asian champions. Oman have been a heavyweight of Asia. So India never really stood a chance of making it into round 2 of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Yes, they made it to the AFC Asian Cup, but that wasn't an achievement given the fact that they've been doing it consistently now for a while. But this time around, they're going to be in pot 2, which means you avoid most of the traditional heavyweights. So if you're talking about a sign of progress, the fact that you're close to pot 2 or in just about marginally in pot 2 is progress, also means that you could potentially make it to round 2 of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, which in itself also represents progress. Again, making it to the World Cup, is it possible? I'll never rule it out, but especially when you consider the fact that 2026 you're seeing an extended World Cup. But I
more
think
teams,
yes, and I think Asia's count, I'm not quite sure of this, but it's going up, I think, nearly double. So there are a number of teams that will be, from Asia that are going to be coming in for the 48-team World Cup. But even if India don't make it for that, and again, that's a long pipe dream, if they can make it even to round 2 of the qualifiers, it would in fact represent real progress.
Yeah. I mean, that tier 1 of Japan, Korea, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Australia, because they through that Oceania, region sometime. They play the Asia Cup as well.
Yes.
New Zealand. These are teams that I think are too far. And I think, I'd spoken to Sunil Chetri a few years ago, and that whole question of the progress. And he said, let's not even look at FIFA World Cup. That's a distant dream. Does it happen? Does it happen? And if you keep setting the benchmark so high, you'll always be disappointed. And I like what he said at that time. He said our immediate aim, or the aim that should really make us happy, is be in the top 10 of Asian countries. And as Shane says, you're now 18th. And so being in top 10 is a realistic target. If you're in the top 10 countries in Asia, then I think that is progress. That is a team that is moving in the right direction. That is a team that will then compete at the Asian level. That will then probably then can dream if you're there for a long time. Also doesn't happen immediately, but if you can stay in that top 10 for a good decade, then you become a contender for the FIFA World Cup. Looking forward, and especially if you'll have 8 teams, now qualify from Asia for the World Cup, then you can look at that. But I think the Indian team is moving there, and I've seen, throughout this tournament, I'm going to name a few players that have really impressed me, and not just looking at the final. Gurpreet Sandhu, by the way, legend, once again comes to the rescue. 2 matches in a row, helped you win that final, helps you win that final, those crucial saves that he made, even now in the final. He, I think, also if you'll see, legacy-wise, probably is the only Indian footballer right now to have played at the Europa League level, so the highest in terms of, standard also. He did play a game or 2 for Stabak. So that way also he's there. But I'm saying, other than that, Nikhil Pujari, outstanding. Jhingan, of course, you expect now he's a stalwart in the Indian team, very, very good. Mehta, Anwar Ali, just names I'm going through the intercontinental and now here. Then Jigsan Singh. I remember Jigsan as a young kid scoring that only goal. And that was his claim to fame. But look at what a transition he's made to the senior team. Still a youngish guy in that team, but really, really solid in that defensive that holding sort of a midfielder that he sometimes plays. Outstanding. Really commands the field. Runs around really well. Korean is someone who's very good in the flank, really, really quick. And the one that I'm really impressed with is Changte. I think his pace, if I'm not mistaken, he got named Player of the Year, right?
He got named Player of the Year just today.
Earlier in the day.
Yeah, 22-23 season. And the thing with him always was consistency. You knew he had the pace, you knew he had the trickery. He just didn't have that end product. But for 2-3 years now, for Chennai FC and then Mumbai City FC, he's been phenomenal.
And he's been given a lot of confidence from Chetri. I was listening to this conversation that Chetri had with somebody, and then he did mention Changte's name a couple of times, and he said that he's a special player. All he needed was confidence, which is something that credit to the fact. Also, there's something that was spoken by one of the players in the lead up to the final as well, when you had that presser, I believe, that the fact that over the last 2.5 months the team is really stuck with each other, and there's been a lot of these games that have come in thick and fast. You had the Intercontinental Cup, then these set of matches as well in the SAFF Cup. What it does is, and it's really helped the team is, it's really helped the team to gel together, something which was possibly missing. But then when you had these games come in thick and fast, and there was a change in the backline, remember, even today as we saw, it wasn't
Anwar Ali was subbed off.
Exactly, Anwar wasn't there. So even though you've had these changes, but then the philosophy has remained the same, and the way that the team sort of believes in that philosophy, that's been the thing for this particular unit. So the fact that they're playing a lot of this football together now, despite the fact that they play with different clubs, some of them of course in the Hero I League, the other in the ISL. So with these competitions coming in thick and fast, this 2-month time has really been it's really been good for the Indian team.
In fact, to add to that, I think one good thing which you're seeing now with the Stimac reign is the fact that you're seeing a lot of youngsters actually get successfully inculcated into the side. It's not that India haven't had youngsters, but too often now they were very inconsistent. They weren't quite being able to establish themselves at senior level. Now you look at someone like we mentioned, Jigsan Singh. He was phenomenal at that holding role. Then you've had someone like an Anirudh Thapa who's blossomed into the midfielder India desperately needed. Someone who can make those passes keep possession ticking over, get those occasional, final balls which are really good. Then of course there was someone like the guy who got the assist for Changte's goal. It was Sal Abdul Samad, another phenomenal talent. Liston Kolako, by the way.
In fact, just that goal, if you see.
3-touch, one
touch
passes.
What beautiful. The way the ball was, moved around, and then that's the kind of, a quality goal that you see, let's say in the Premier League or in the top tier leagues, let's say from the top teams, wherein the ball's first played out and then out of the box, and then, somebody in the box or edge of the box then plays it across the face of the goal. Phenomenal stuff.
This
over
was
there.
what, 3 touch. You had Ashik to Chhetri, Chhetri to Sahal. Sahal lays it off to Changte on
Changte,
a platter.
platter.
Beautiful move.
Yeah.
Very, very good move. And came against the run of play because up till that point, it's fair to say that Kuwait were dominating the play.
They were the better. In fact, you know what this also tells you about this team is that they're ready to give it a fight, you know.
Yes.
Even though they were put in a place where, in front of the home crowd, they were put in a testing situation. They didn't let their shoulders drop. They knew, at some point things are going to click. They were ready to sort of grind it out there. And of course, they were being led by somebody like Chhetri who doesn't, take things lightly at all. So being led by the right person in many ways, and in fact, it tells you a lot about the team's ideology and that spirit as well, that never say die attitude. You especially talk about in football a lot that, it's not over until it's over.
Correct.
You could see that today as well with the Indian team.
Absolutely.
The one thing I'll say about Samad, I like him. He's got all the trickery, he's got the style and everything. I just think that he's still some distance away from a finished product, because sometime I think he makes a few elementary mistakes. But like, as I said, very talented, has all the trickery, with that finishing touch sometime, and so crucial miss pass sometime, like the move looks very good, starts off really well, but then will make one small little mistake. I think if you really fix that about him, he's really a talent. Today, when I was just watching by the way, before I forget, Kuwait didn't have an extra time semi-final, did they?
No, they beat Bangladesh 1-0.
So imagine now again for an Indian team, back-to-back extra times, 2 back-to-back penalty shootouts in a matter of 2 days. That itself makes India's victory incredible. It's not easy. Ask any team, you're playing extra time, 90 minutes of football, then 2 15-minute extra time halves, then a penalty shootout and the pressure that comes with it, and then to recover so fast. Kuwait didn't have to go through it earlier. Yet, what is really heartening to see, and which is why I said one thing I loved about the Indian team is how organized now they look, like they're playing football, and it's not just a kickabout, which we got so used to watching Indian teams in the past. The other thing, fitness levels, you could see the Kuwaiti team that did not play an extra time cramping up towards that extra time. Whereas Indian players on that front were much better. By the way, Kuwait made use of all of their substitution as well. I think India still had 2 subs left. So didn't even use all their subs. So majority of their players played for that extra time earlier as well now. So incredible fitness levels. And these were, the complaints we would have about Indian football. One, that they were not organized, that they really couldn't stitch together a good game and moves. They begin to do that. And fitness levels are next level. I also feel that, some people may agree or not. Maybe, ISL bringing that professionalism, slowly you'll see the result. When you're going to get foreign coaches, you're going to spend money on trainers and things like that, and then you'll have league. And you're going to play with a few foreign players that have been coming. It does make a difference, and slowly and gradually you'll see the difference. Today, one thing I will point out, and I'm not saying it's in hindsight. I was watching with my family, and for nobody I said it, but when Udanta was walking for the penalty, I said at that time, wrong call, and he's going to miss. Wrong call, he's going to miss. I tell you why, because he looked lost when he came onto the field. He had a poor game, and what happens, I'm not, again, see, nothing, I don't want to sound like, I'm being overcritical and really don't want to be harsh on him. I don't intend to do that. He's a good guy. He plays really well, as we've seen in the past. Today wasn't his day, and the only thing I was disappointed with, when someday you're not having a good day in the field, you've not played well, that's the day you don't pick him to take the penalty. And if I was the decision maker of deciding, and if I saw Udanta didn't have a great day today, because what it does is it affects your confidence, right? And then he goes on to walk. I knew it at the time when he was walking. For everyone else, fully confidence. When Udanta, before he kept the ball, I was like, Udanta, he's going to miss it. He's definitely going to miss it, because he was having a torrid game. So I don't know why this is something that, teams don't look at. It could have been costly had it not been for that save by Gurpreet Sandhu. But at the end, all's well that ends well.
Yeah, I think with Udanta, he had not started the match, but he came on later on as a sub, and he was just having one of those games with I think India had 2 wingers at one point who used to be frustratingly inconsistent with their end product. Udanta was one, Changte was the other. Changte's kind of sorted that with Udanta. Sometimes you still see flashes of that player who has all the skill in the world, all the speed in the world, but he's a confidence player. And the days his confidence isn't there. He just can go missing. And
we saw those wayward passes also.
Wayward passes, the runs, the heavy touches, it was all there. And to be fair, I'll give the Bangalore crowd plenty of credit.
Yeah.
After he missed, they were still cheering loud for him. Of course, you have to remember that Rodanta is a product of the Bangalore FC Youth Academy. He only left the club at the end of this season. So he's someone who Bangalore fans would fondly remember. But they were very good to him. There was no jeering or this thing. They just kept cheering for him. And I think they had that faith in the team as well, that they dig deep and find their way through, which they did.
In fact,
tell me one more thing. Tell me one more thing, because Chante always is that right winger, right?
Yeah.
And he's done so well there. Why did they move him to the left? I know Nerong came in and they had him on the right, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was moved to the left.
He was. So the thing with Chante is he's left-footed. So I think he also was later on in his career converted into a right winger, so an inverted, basically a right winger who'd then cut. Because initially, if I remember him, he used to play for Delhi Dynamos back when the club still existed, and he used to play on the left even there because they preferred using his pace rather than making him a finisher. But in recent times, they've kind of moved him when he's played for Chennai and Mumbai City. They've moved him to the right. And so kind of encouraged him to make that. So I think the tactical thing was that maybe they felt with the Chante you could move him to the side. That way, maybe it would work. But it didn't really, I think it kind of nullified him a bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, you all also agreed with me on Udanta. You also said the same reaction.
Harshit and I looked at each other and said, this guy looks badly he looks short.
Exactly. The moment, he kept the ball and the camera went to, I told her, he's missing it.
Yeah.
At the moment he missed it, we were looking at did we jinx it for the poor guy?
We knew it. It was just there.
Yeah.
No, but really happy. It's good game. By the way, the one thing I'm disappointed with is, it usually happens, and I've been harping about Indian football's quality and all that. We saw it in the Intercontinental Cup and now on SAFF. It's just that when it is the final, that's the reason why finals are so bad to watch, because it was once again a very cagey affair. Of course, Kuwait looked like the better team, but India didn't really play. Maybe again, that's why I said that's what happens in finals, because you're playing for a trophy and you're trying not to concede. So when you're playing the league games, you're far more fluent and far more creative, and that's what India showed. I was just disappointed with the quality that India does have in terms of now creativity and possession and the moves that they make. So I was just disappointed that they weren't really expressing themselves, just that they've been doing in the past month or so that we've been watching them. So I was a bit disappointed with that, but I guess it's not an Indian thing, it's a final thing. Finals do become very cagey, where teams become extra careful, and it's safety first sort of approach rather than being a bit experimental, which the Indian team did. Apart from that, it's been a great month or so of watching Indian football, Indian footballers. And what do I say about Sunil Chhetri? He's aging like fine wine. Look at that fitness level of that guy. He was fit, the oldest member on the pitch, clearly, I'm sure, if I'm not mistaken. Yet looked outstandingly fit. His finishing has been outstanding. The way he was mentoring the guys, advising them different situation, giving a pep talk. So I think he's still good enough to play a couple more years for the national team.
Yeah, definitely.
As strange and it may sound. How old will he be?
39 he is now.
Yeah, this is something we were talking about. Yeah, but we're just going to be checking. I think he is 39.
Let me check and tell you. He is
39.
Yeah, 38.
38.
But he will turn 39 soon. 3rd August is his birthday.
So soon to be 39.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Captain Fantastic. But I think India will be next looking forward to the King's Cup. That's the next major tournament that they'll be playing, and that's a 4-team tournament where you'll be playing a team like Iraq, by the way, in that 4. And correct me if I'm wrong, but was it Iraq or Iran who were in the World Cup? Was it
Iran?
It was Iran.
Iran.
It was Iran, right? But Iraq are a team that are ranked much higher.
But Iraq also traditionally used to be big footballing powers. If I'm not mistaken, has there been a World Cup with both Iran and Iraq? May have been.
Let me just check when they've played.
Both in the same edition.
They may have both played together. Both footballing powers, but Iran's been the better and the more consistent.
Iraq have actually only appeared once in 1986, and they finished last in their group and scored just 1 goal. So, but Iran had been that more consistent side.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Without doubt. Without doubt. Yeah.
Should we be at this point taking a look at some comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's.
I just hope everyone who's watching us watch the final, yeah. I hope you watched it. If not, go
not
back
check
and
out
watch the highlights.
This was really a good final.
Yeah.
So Rahul Bede says that it seems like Emiliano Martinez actually blessed Gurpreet Singh Sandhu as far as that last save was concerned. To be fair, he's been that savior in 2 knockout matches now.
No. Yeah.
So yeah,
You reckon Emilio Martinez would be watching the game tonight? I think he would be, because he's in India.
he is, yes.
Clearly,
he's
wherever he must be, they would have played this game for sure, because he must have been at a function or a dinner or something, right? Here his whole schedule must have been chalked out, and wherever he would have been,
Yeah, I would have
100%,
think- yeah.
he would have watched it. He
Exactly.
would have watched
May-
it for sure.
We should definitely get
Would
a
love
guy in
to know
Kolkata
what he
to
thought.
get his comments on this.
Yeah. Also, Vignesh Konar in the comments says that the main target for the Indian football team now should be to enter the knockout stage of the AFC Asian Cup 2023. I think that's a realistic goal at this point. You should be
Yeah.
looking to get there.
Yeah. See, you again, because we've been talking a lot about the progress and how it appears to be on the right track. When you talk about, treading on the same path, then that, of course, has to be your next target.
Absolutely. One
Today,
user-
also happy up, packed house in Bangalore, packed out 28,000 people, chock a
Yeah.
block, all your cricketers. I saw Deepak Chahar, I saw Shreyas Iyer.
Yes,
Yeah.
There with the
you
and a half.
had the deputy chief minister also there, so the delegations were there. You saw a delegation from Kuwait as well. Celebrities, of course, their presence also helps bring in that sort of a wave, that sort of crowd. They're also crowd pullers in many ways, but of course, first thing you want is people to be going there for the team first, and then of course you can have the others support the game and everything. But again, it's good, let's say, for a Shreyas Iyer to have turned up in the previous game and
this
today as
time.
well.
Yeah. So yeah, plenty of positivity really in the comments. A lot of people saying that it's good that you're finally being able to give a challenge to some of the tougher teams really in Asia, because otherwise you're right, with SAFF we'd just be dominating teams who are worse off than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like Nikhil said earlier, because Kuwait again they aren't, let's say, any pushovers. Even
Not
let's
at
say
all.
if we are to talk about the Asian teams as well, they are one of the teams you would want to be taking seriously because they play good football.
They do.
We've seen that in this tournament.
We
as
saw it
well.
in this match.
Exactly. So credit to Team India, for holding their nerve on 2 occasions, by the way, and in double quick time. If you see, just about 72 hours, you've had 2 knockout games take place. Penalty shootout there as well. So a lot of credit to the coach as well, who, by the way, let's remind you guys, was not on the touchline.
Yeah, he was banned.
Yes, he was banned all over again. So he had to be in the stands, but a mighty proud coach he must be at the moment.
He was jubilant during the full
Yeah,
time.
I tell you, you guys may have missed it. Steamer Active, when he was sitting there, and you can go watch the highlight. As soon as the penalties happened, you should have seen him. There's a shot of his. He's telling him, calm down, now it's done. Like, in the sense, now it's penalty, we are winning it. That sort of a reaction. Watch it again when the whistle's blown, because before that he was a bit tense while the game was on, also probably passing on the message. He had that Shamalan, if I'm remembering his name correctly, the trainer next to him, because he was with the Indian tennis team earlier as well. So now he's with the Indian football team. So he was taking in data in terms of, running of a player, how many kilometers, whatever data he was taking. And all that while he was animated and worried. But watch him, when the penalties happen now, you watch him, he's telling someone, and you can make out from the gestures, the way he's pretty much saying that now penalties, it's finished, we've won it. Like that sort of reaction he gave. So it's pretty confident. But yeah, silly mistakes are both, and that Pakistan game also I saw, silly, absolutely unwanted.
Yeah.
Same thing with Kuwait game, absolutely unwanted. But kudos to Mahesh Gavli. I was a big Mahesh Gavli fan when he used to play. Outstanding defender. I don't know if you guys know, but he held the record at that time for the highest transfer in Indian football. Okay, he got paid, if I'm not, 500 crore in those days.
Wow.
for a transfer or something like that. So he was a fantastic defender, and I'm really enjoying watching him as a coach now on the sideline. I mean, assistant coach, but got to coach now because T-Match was on the side.
He got that opportunity twice.
Yeah.
Right, so that's, I think, we've taken all the major comments. Huh?
On that note,
On that note,
good day.
yes, thank you, of course, Nikhil, for joining us. For all of you all as well, extremely nice speaking to all of you, gathering your thoughts as well. Unfortunately, we couldn't take all the comments, but I hope we did manage to take
No, we took a good majority.
a majority of them.
Yeah.
So, from Shane Dias and me, bye-bye. Saransh also, our dear producer, says bye-bye to all of you all. He wants to go home. So, we really cannot help it much now here in the studio.
Right.
We're going to see you guys tomorrow. The action doesn't stop here at Sports Day. As always, don't forget to tap that bell icon, subscribe to us as well. We're there on all the social media.